The Congressional Budget Office basically estimated the pre-American Rescue Plan that inflation would peak somewhere just south of 3% and level out around 2%. And actually what we know has happened is that it went above 9% and is now back down just below 7%. It's still insanely high. But just to show this, that the amount of money that was pushed into the system has clearly driven the line, has clearly driven inflation to a 40-year high.
Remarkable, because Joe Biden's first day in office, inflation was at 1.4%. Our next guest pointing out the unnecessary spending that started with the $2 trillion American Rescue Plan right after Joe Biden took office in January 2021. That led directly to 9% inflation over the summer. And as he just said, 6% inflation today. Both numbers, by the way, that we haven't seen since the early 1980s, Ronald Reagan's first term. Joining us now for more, Georgia Congressman and member of the House Ways and Means Committee, Drew Ferguson, back with us. Congressman, good to see you. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Rob. Glad to be with you today. And, what you've just said and what you've pointed out is something that Americans feel every single day. The reckless spending by this administration is driving inflation through the roof, and American families feel it every single day.
Everything is more expensive since Joe Biden took office. Congressman, take us through how Democratic spending got us here and probably caused those bank failures 10 days ago because of the rate hikes, which were both reactions to record high inflation.
So when the Democrats had full control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, they abused their power. And what they did is they spent trillions more than necessary to recover from COVID to push forth their big government socialist agenda and to expand every single government program that they possibly could. And the end result of this has been crushing inflation. Americans are less competitive around the world, and we're seeing our competitive edge go away. But most importantly, American families are paying way too much for food. They're paying way too much for gas. I'm worried about young families being able to afford homes. And what happened is the Fed is raising interest rates to try to combat this. And that is creating problems in the banking system right now. All of these things are what we predicted would happen.
Yeah, Congressman, you're right. Forget about trying to buy a house. I've got a sister trying to buy a house right now. Mortgages are at a 28-year low. We haven't seen that since Bill Clinton was president because mortgage rates are so darn high. I want to get back to student loan bailouts. So it's something that Joe Biden ran on. But you introduced a bill, the Student Loan Accountability Act, that's a little bit different than what Joe Biden wants to do. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we're going 180 degrees from President Biden on this. Excuse me. Michael Gallagher and I introduced this bill, and we don't think that it's fair to the American public to forgive student loans with just a blanket forgiveness. Number one, it puts a tremendous burden and responsibility on those folks that chose to pay for their children's college, those individuals that chose to work and go to college, and it is patently unfair. Number two, it is just more government spending. This will continue to fuel inflation because it will be seen as free money. This is wrong. It's not right for Americans. It's not fair. And by the way, they're going to forgive this. If they're pushing to forgive student loans, it's $400 billion. The number's probably somewhere closer to $1 trillion. And by the way, they're making absolutely no changes to the program. They're continuing to fuel the beast. These folks absolutely do not make sense. They're hurting American families, and this is wrong, and it's unfair.
Congressman, does your bill see the light of day? Any Democratic support for this?
We would hope that people would come to their senses on this. I'm hoping that there may be one or two moderates over there that would see the light of day on this. But forgiving student loans across the board, I'll say it again, is unfair, and it puts the burden on the American taxpayer. Make no mistake, it's not forgiving it. It's just transferring the debt to people that are getting up and going to work every single day. It's not fair to make the hardworking middle-class Americans pay for the wealthy elites to go to college. Let me ask you this. Why are we giving student loans to kids that go to somewhere like Harvard when they have a multi-billion-dollar endowment? Don't you think they should be spending the endowment to educate children as opposed to making the endowment stronger?
Yeah. Or maybe lower the price of college. It's doubled since I went to college, which is a while ago, 20 years ago, but not that long ago. Congressman, we've got to leave it there. Have a great weekend. Georgia Congressman Drew Ferguson, we appreciate it. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.